Let's see. Lighting. Lighting's okay. What's today? 4th. Let's update Stream Decker. Alright, so I wanted to get back to normal Grixis today. We played some OG 2017 Grixis back on Saturday for our Shadow Watch event. But today, where did my list go to? Where did I save this? Not where I wanted to save it, that's where. But yeah, I wanted to get back to normal Grixis today. Let's see how we feel it's positioned. Why is this list like disappearing? Is this it? Aha. We found it. That list thought it could hide. But not today. Alright. But yeah, I wanted to get back to normal Grixis. Non-sprite dragon. No gimmick. Just straight up Grixis. See how it goes today. Guy coming in with the tier 1 5-month resub. Thank you so much. Appreciate you as always. Hope the move is going smoothly. So in honor of Guy, I'll stop talking and just go straight into playing Magic. My voice is still like a little off after Shadow Watch. Talking for 12 hours straight will kind of make it difficult to keep it going. So if I take more pauses than normal, or you see me drink more water than normal, that is my reasoning. All right, round number what do we got? Currently got 2 kittens curled, sleeping up in the hood of my jacket. That's a strange place to keep your kittens, but I can dig it. Kittens kind of go wherever kittens feel like going. All right, sounds pretty good. So we'll see what our opponent does. That'll kind of dictate what we do. If they give us a push target, we might do that. All right. So is this... All right. Balagad Recovery. So more than likely it's Charbelcher. See if we are right. It looks like we are right. Opponent cannot recross the paths next turn. So let's see. Do I want to take these recross, or do I want to take lands? I guess we'll just take payoffs. We are going to need to find a second land pretty quickly. Speak of the devil. Pick up a Turn Timber Symbiosis so we can take the recross the paths. Because if our opponent top decks a Charbelcher, they can cast it, but we've got this Stubborn Denial. And if they don't cast a Charbelcher, then we can just Thought Scour. And as soon as we find our third land, we're kind of off to the races, because then we open up the ability to like play out our shadow. If they do cast a Charbelcher, we can dismember our shadow, hold priority, Stubborn Denial. That just gets our shadow up to Ferocious. So, I think we just take Ritual here, because that means my opponent has to top deck Charbelcher and an untapped land off their draw step in the Manamorphose. Like, if we take Manamorphose, they only have to top deck Charbelcher. They have the mana. But here, they, like I said, they have to top deck both an untapped land and a Charbelcher to be able to resolve a Charbelcher. So I think what I'm going to do here is go ahead and dismember and then just pass. Like, I could wait and try to dismember, hold priority, Stubborn Denial. But I don't think we really gain anything from that. Like, they've already put the Spike Field Hazard down, so we're not really afraid of them Spike Field Hazarding our shadow. And it would just give them another draw step to see another card to potentially have the option to Spike Field Hazard us. Alright. So I'm just going to let them have this recovery, get back, recross the paths. We've got that answered. A fetch land means we just get to kill them. Fatal Push does not, but it does give us lethal for next turn. So I think I just let them resolve this. Since I have the second Stubborn now, I'll just stub it. If I didn't have the second stub, I'd just let them resolve the recross. Alright. Game 1 to the good guys. They only really settle down when they're cuddling up with me, so I wear my hoodies backwards and put them in the hood. Well, that makes sense. Like, kittens are pretty big about wanting like a warm, confined space. Alright, so in interaction, out Fatal Pushes. I could bring in an EE to answer like an early empty the Warrens. Because if they just go like turn 2, ritual, spike field hazard, you empty, something like that. I don't want to be cold in the water to just a bunch of tokens. Alright. So they could have Leyline of Sanctity, but we're not throwing this back just for the fear of Leyline. We've got redraws, we've got life loss, we've got interaction with Stub and Thoughtseize. And if they want to mull aggressively to Leyline, then Thoughtseize is kind of already doing its job. Alright. So I'm not Thoughtseizing here because with this Stubborn Denial, I don't think my opponent can go off on turn 2. And I would rather get this Thought Scour resolved and try to find like a real threat and more lands. If they had kept 7, I'd be a little less inclined to make this play. Defense grid. Well, we kind of have to take that one. Am I going for the 1/1 or the 2/2 shadow? Yeah. Even if my opponent draws a Charbelcher, they can't play it this turn. So I'm passing here with Mana Leak. If they give me something to leak or stub, I'll jump at the opportunity. If not, I'm just going to double Cling to Dust, try to find another land. Looks like they're planning on a Valakut Awakening. So, I think I'm just going to say okay to this Awakening. I've got plenty of counter spells, and I really don't want to just say, like, alright, I'm going to counter this Awakening and hope you don't top deck and play a Charbelcher, when I can just say I've got the Charbelcher covered. Now, obviously, if it's like land Charbelcher plus Pact of Negation, kind of in trouble, but all right, now we've got a few looks at another land. Guess we could have just snap thought seized, right? Honestly, kind of forgot the Snapcaster was even in my hand. Whoops. Oh, we'll see if it ends up biting us. Does not. So yeah, could have just snapped thought seized and done 14 while they were at 13. But luckily, we did not punt too hard. Resolve, recross, and scour them. I mean, that would be pretty great. Flip over that, reforge the soul. Let them draw into like a Simian spirit guide. It's the kind of tempo swing that Modern needs more of. All right. What do we got for round number 2? I would love to play first. Yep, we'll keep it. So people always ask about the pass with stubborn denial line instead of thought seizing on turn 1, and I think this is kind of a prime example of the perfect hand where that's optimal. It's like the way you get punished with this hand is you thought seize them and they've got like double Aether Vial, double Utopia Sprawl. Utopia Sprawl plus, what's his name? Arbor Elf, something like that. And by passing with Stub, but also having access to Fatal Push, Cling to Dust, Thought Scour, we kind of get like maximum available options. Because if our opponent just goes like land pass and we get to Thought Scour ourselves, like we're pretty okay with that. Fill up our graveyard, give a chance to hit another land. So this could be Rakdos mid-range. I think I'm going to let this resolve. If it's Rakdos mid-range, I'd rather get the lands down. Because either they're going to give me like a stub for a Liliana or a Fatal Push for a Magmatic Channeler. Like, I'm not just going to be out of interaction regardless of what they take. Main phase, scour ourselves in case we hit Gurmag Angler. Now, if they cast another hand disruption spell here before playing a second land, am I stubbing it? Well, it takes that decision out of the equation. Picking up second stub right there is pretty nice. So they did have the Liliana. So now with this Fatal Push known, we're looking for Gurmag Angler. But main deck Lingering Souls is a bit of a pain. So why would you draw the souls and not play the souls? Well, I will cut you down to one soul. You may have uno soul, no more, no less. I say uno because they flash it back and I push one. Yep. Alright. I'm still like a Gurmag Angler away from being in really good shape. Or even like a land would let me start escaping this Cling to Dust. All right. So if opponent doesn't have multiple removal spells, or 3 removal spells, I'll get to kill him with a Battle Rage Shadow next turn. So that's pretty fun. And if they're going to their turn, that kind of makes me feel like they don't. Where's Dogfish when you need him? Oh, unless this is actually the person from the Discord. I think it might be. Needed you 1 turn sooner. I was going to say, if you got the bolt, you got the bolt. Yep. All right. Good old Rankle. Modern staple Rankle. Yeah, I figured it was from the Discord once I saw that one. I think that's a pretty big giveaway. Wagner, how's it going? Ugh. All right. So I'm only bobbling on my turn because I know I want to cast this Thoughtseize. Croxa, Blood Moon, Boil. The combo of Blood Moon and Boil. Seasoned Pyro. All right. Can't imagine them going for the Blood Moon here. Purge my shadow. Sure. So is this going to be Boil, Untap, Blood Moon? If that's the case, I'll stub the Boil. Kaya's Guile. Eesh. I was gonna say I would stub the Blood Moon or stub the Boil, let the Blood Moon resolve because I just had the Shadow. Alright. Now I'm coming back with the Seasoned Pyromancer in hand. Rough. Seeing both Boil and Blood Moon. Seems a bit extreme for a matchup that's already pretty favorable, but I built that Sultai list because of so much black-red mid-range. What are you talking about, the Sultai list you shared Saturday? So, yeah. It's not great, but it's not terrible. So, Matter Reshaper off the top. I just want a chance to nab a Chalice. Do they have Nat? They don't have Natron. Alright. But they're drawing into Natron. Alright. So I play Gurmag. They draw into Dismember. They go down to 16. They play Reality Smasher. Attack for 6. I go down to 7. I untap. Play Shadow. Plus Fetch Land. Pass. They untap. Play. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. They can pump up Ballista twice. I would be at I'd be at 7, so I wouldn't be dead to Ballista. They play Matter Reshaper. They pump up Ballista once. I'm at 7 with a fetch land. I can fetch down to 4, present 18. They're at 16. They've got 1, 2 off the Reshaper. Otherwise, I get basic here. Play Gurmag. They Dismember, go to 16, attack for 6. I go to 9. I play Shadow plus Fetch Land. Are they incentivized to attack if I have a Shadow? No. Like, I know they're drawing the Tron land. Running great. Bunch of threats plus Veils are great to bring in. Veils are pretty good in the black-red matchup. So dismember, go to 16, play Reality Smasher. Attack for 6. I untap, play Shadow, plus fetch land. Say go. They have access to 9 mana. Play Reshaper, sure, so they can pump up Ballista once. So if they don't block with the Reality Smasher, they die. So I say, okay, Battle Rage the Shadow. Yeah. Hitting another Tron land there is rough. Like, they already had the kill, but they had to go all in on the Walking Ballista to kill me. And they might not do that into open mana. But hitting another Tron land basically means it's free. Hitting the other Tron land is like, yeah, I don't have to put any extra resources into this Ballista. I just get to pump it up to lethal at the end of your turn. What's up, Chuck? Happy Monday to you as well. Got a sweet 1-4 earlier. Only beat Oops with Jund in the league. That's impressive to beat Oops with OG Jund. It's not a deck you see a ton of anymore anyway. Oops, I mean. Or Jund. But Oops has kind of fallen off a lot of the meta results as of recently. Like, it shows up some, but not nearly to the degree it was a month or two ago. All right. Make sure I'm updating my matches. So we beat Charbelcher. We lost to Red-Black mid-range. Opponent mold to 6, so we'll see how their hand shapes out. So they have the blast zone. We got to take the walking ballista or else we can't play out our shadow this turn. So now we have to decide if we want to dismember and mana leak our dismember. Or stub our dismember, one of the two. Scribe to the top. Thought not seer. Alright, so I'll let it resolve, dismember it. Probably take my mana leak. Yep. Gotta love a good moto bug. Alright. I'm definitely not playing out a second shadow into a known blast zone. Scry to the top again with Maze Mind Tome. Mozak, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. Appreciate you coming by and hanging out with us for a bit. Checking out some of our, as always, sweet Death Shadow action. So I'm mana leaking Matter Reshaper here because I get another sort of free attack in with this Death Shadow. And best case scenario is I hit a fetch land, or probably actually a shock land here. Shock land would have been better. I say Shockland would have been better because it would have forced the action on Blast Zone without leaving me dead to Reality Smasher. Like, they could play Reality Smasher and attack, or Reality Smasher and pass. But that's a pretty dangerous game with Death Shadow. That was a pretty preemptive Blast Zone activation. I think they could have afforded to just take the 5 there. And since I have to make the first move to do any more damage, they kind of get a window. Hydrate, got you. I gotta go fill up on more water after this. It's like a big chunk of ice in here. Alright, so we can K command to get back a shadow. Which is probably our best line. Alright, I'm stubbing map because I don't want my opponent to be able to get another copy of Blast Zone. Touche. So now this K command's got to get back Gurmag Angler. Am I fetching and shocking? I think that I am. Like, you always kind of want the ability to top deck a Battle Rage for lethal. Got a worm coil engine out of their hand. Oh, dang. All right. TBR still in? No. Yeah. Yeah, TBR is in. So we're dead to, like, dismember off the top. Alright, so they have to pop Blast Zone on our Shadow, which means we get to play Gurmag Angler, pass the turn, draw step, K command them. And that should hopefully be it. So we'll say go, draw step, turn Shadow, have you discard. All right. On to game 3. Yeah, that was game 3, or that was game 2. This is going into game 3. All right. Boarding out Gurmag Snapcaster, boarding back in Street Wraith Inquisition on the draw because I need to maximize my ways to interact with turn 2 Chalice. They have mold to 6 at least. Kept at 6. Second Temple Thought Knot. That was going to be the argument for Thought Seizing over Inquisition there. Because if my opponent just has Second Temple Thought Knot, this gets punished pretty hard. like casting the Inquisition over the Thoughtseize. But if they have like Tronland, Maze Mind Tome, or something like that, Matter Reshaper, then Inquisition's a lot better because it allows me to essentially nab like 2 things. Take Go for the Throat. So there's like no chance that my opponent casts a Reality Smasher into a known mana leak, right? Easy Shadow off the top. I'm hoping for opponent to make the, there's no way they top decked another mana leak read. And just like slam the Smasher. So my out here is kind of like take the hit off Thought Knot, untap, draw Shadow, have Thoughtseize plus Shadow, and then a Battle Rage the turn after. But instead, we find ourselves at the mercy of a Walking Ballista, a map plus Scavenger Grounds is pretty rough. Nope. Grixis does typically have a much worse time against Eldrazi Tron than like 4-color does. Ugh. Should wait to fetch in case I draw push. Well, part of the issue was my life total. Like, I couldn't fetch and shock. So if I wanted access to all of my mana, I needed to fetch a little more aggressively. It looks like, is it prowess? All I wanted was no Stormwing entity. Oh, is this no Stormwing? Or is this double Manamorphose into Stormwing? Oh, thank you, opponent. Thank you. You're so merciful. All right, don't kill me. That's a good sign. +3/+0 and haste until the end of the turn. Interesting. Opponent F6 through the Cling to Dust. Nice. It's a sorcery. I think this means they have one draw step to draw like exactly Lightning Bolt. They can reckless charge something. I block it. They get a prowess trigger on the other one. Lightning Bolt or Lava Dart. All right. So now we kind of get to check for all of it. So let's play Polluted Delta in case I want to snap Cling in response to this. Take that. Dismember. Doesn't matter too much. You look fine. Then attack with our 2 lethal shadows. Hope they draw Lightning Bolt. Would have been good. Good drama. Naomi, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful Monday morning, evening. Or you said you were in Germany? Is that right? Am I remembering that correctly? Or no? No, you sent me your address. South America. Hold up. I'm not looking it up. I'm seeing if I can remember this. Brazil. Am I right or am I so far off? Brazil or... I want to say Brazil. Yes, Brazil. Ha! Got there. Knew it would come to me eventually. Like Mana Leak on the play. I'm not a big fan of it on the draw. Yeah, this is fine. All right, DJ Hugs, what you got? Sir Chibs, thoughts on Bolt in the main deck for Grixis Death's Shadow. Personally, I'm not a huge fan. Part of the reason is because I think a lot of the stuff in Modern right now doesn't die to Bolt, and you're not really a Bolt Snap Bolt deck. Like, if you're maxed out on pushes and you're looking for another piece of interaction and you don't like things like Drown in the Lock, then Bolt is fine. But I don't think I would put Bolt I don't think I would put Bolt before the fourth copy of Fatal Push. And I personally prefer cards like Drown in the Lock over Lightning Bolt. So my hope here is that I'm going to get to Stubborn Denial, a Manamorphose that would otherwise turn on a Stormwing Entity. That means that I get to draw for turn, Thought Scour myself, and try to find a way to either prevent Stormwing from coming down or just get Gurmag Angler on the board. But yeah, for the Bolt in the main deck of Shadow, I definitely don't think it's bad. So I wouldn't be, like, afraid to play it. It's just not usually my preferred piece of interaction. Oh yeah, the Brazilian community loves Death Shadow. It's kind of crazy. Brazil, Germany. Death Shadow, for whatever reason, is a very intercontinental deck. Do I want another stub? I don't mind another stub, but I would rather get Gurmag Angler down. And if I draw that stub, it means I can't fetch and Thought Scour on my opponent's turn. So I think I would need something like far more impactful to make me want to draw the second, or make me want to not fetch. Alright. Basic Swamp here because Blood Moon is becoming a consideration. Sure. So is this the Stormwing? Impressive discipline for my opponent if they decided to wait until after I'd done anything to Stormwing. But it doesn't look like that's the case. Alright, so playing Scalding Tarn here because it gives me the ability to fetch up basic island. No, I meant to click cancel. Moto Point. I was thinking about playing that on 1, and then I decided not to. Punished heavily for the EE misclick. It's a pretty good one. See, I'm from Germany and I disagree. My play group recently switched from playing Modern to playing EDH solely for dodging Shadow. Are they dodging Shadow or are they dodging the black-red Scourge deck? Because I've said it a couple times on here, and I'll stand by the point that I don't classify that deck as a Shadow deck. To me, it is 100% a Scourge of the Skyclaves deck that just happens to have Death Shadow in the 75. It is a hyper-aggressive aggro deck. Correct. So Soulscar is definitely the better threat between Swiftspear and Soulscar. So in a perfect world, I would like to Fatal Push the Soulscar. But if my opponent's not casting any spells, and especially not with that Snapcaster trade, I'm kind of assuming that they don't have anything relevant in hand. And if that's the case, then like forcing the Soulscar into chump block mode on the next turn is just as good. So have to claim the Firstborn their own guy. All right. Makes sense. I think I played everything. Started with 4-color. And Grixis, Zoo, Luris Grixis, Jund, even Esper, Rakdos. Now some weird homebrews. I mean, that sounds kind of like the channel here. Like, I think we've played 4-color Grixis, Zoo, Esper, Blue Black, Mardu, Jund, Rakdos, Sultai. Splatter, how's it going? Okay. Well, that dismember would have done something eventually. Let's see. Grixis Shadow indeed. I wanted to play some something traditional today. So, on the play, yeah, if like this swamp or watery grave were a creature, I think it would be a snap keep. But just having like no creatures, no redraws is a little bit rough. I'll just bottom drown. I do love these Death Shadow emotes. I think I mentioned it a couple times, but we are getting a Teamer Battle Rage emote. It's in the works as we speak. And I'm excited for that one too. Alright, cycling into turn in case I hit like a Thought Scour. Mystic Sanctuary could mean an Uro pile. JVP. So maybe blue-black control. Can't imagine myself snap dismembering this turn. Thought sees my Gurmag. Could be the Aspiring Spike Gorya's Vengeance deck. I guess that would make sense, wouldn't it? Haven't seen green yet, though, so maybe not. I mean, their mana is looking a little awkward this game. But Goryo's Vengeance would make sense with Jace Vryn's Prodigy. But Sunken Ruins kind of makes me think it's like one of the Narset control decks. Alright, what are the odds this resolves? cryptic me. Gonna have to retap. That Sunken Ruin's not gonna work the way you want it to. Maybe it will. Gifts ungiven. So it is definitely a Reanimator style deck. So I guess the hope now is that they don't have a plethora of cheap interaction. And I can kind of ride Shadow, Stub, Snap, Stub to victory here. Not quite the land I wanted to draw. It's another Gifts Ungiven. Yeah, I think we just have to go for Snap Stub here. Like, we don't even know if they're going to get something off gifts that's, like, actually going to mess us up. But I don't really want to take the risk. I will let this resolve. Not really because I want to, but because I need to save this Stubborn Denial for something better. Like, they can tick up, shrink the shadow, get Ferocious out of the way. But if we just draw like a Shock Land, Fetch Land, Thoughtseize, then that doesn't matter. Oh, man. Alright, well, I can't have my opponent flashing back a Goryo's Vengeance. Tarn, where were you a minute ago? Shrink my Snapcaster. They know about this other Stubborn Denial. I think I just have to let this resolve. Like, I don't want to, but I'm giving myself the chance to, like, draw a Battle Rage, draw another Shadow, Cling to Dust. I just don't want to blow this stub on something that, like, doesn't actually matter. Right, like if they just went land, Goryo's Vengeance, Bruna with Colossification in the graveyard, like that could be pretty rough, and Stub wouldn't stop that. Or stubbing gifts wouldn't stop that. So I'll put a... I'm guessing they have to have the land, right? We put Abrupt Decay and... and Uro. Yeah, go like that. Because if they spend all of their green mana getting back Uro next turn, I'm kind of fine with that because that means they can't decay. Battle Rage, Cling. All right. So I have to fetch and shock now because I need to put my opponent dead next turn through the life gain off Uro if I draw another fetch land or a bauble, something like that. If I just hit for 5, yes, they are dead to the shadow. But they are not dead to the shadow if they Uro. This looks like getting back Uro. It's game. If they had Vengeance in hand, yes, it would be game. But based on the look at the moment, they don't have Vengeance in hand. So we just need a fetch land, bauble. Not that one. So we attack Shadow at them, Snapcaster at Jace. Cast Gurmag. Say go. Guessing this is Jumpstart a Radical Idea. Yeah, Jace's -2 is you can target an instant or sorcery from your graveyard, and you can cast it from your graveyard until the end of the turn. So I have to keep them off of being able to minus Jace on Goryo's Vengeance to get back Bruna. They couldn't have used Jace for Vengeance right there because they just ticked Jace up to 3. It didn't have 3 loyalty at the start of that turn. So it looks like they're digging pretty hard for Agoria's Vengeance. This looks like Escape Uro again. Yeah, right. It's -3. I mean, at the moment, our attack is lethal. Attack is technically still lethal, or was lethal. Ah. Looks like they have made the correct play to give up on the combo and just go for Field of the Dead. Unfortunate. Yeah, if they didn't draw that field, we would have been okay. God. Yeah, Field of the Dead is a messed up Magic card. It's kind of like that that idea that the Bruno or Bruna Colossification combo is cool and cute and everything else, but like this is winning them the game. None of the combo part mattered. Uro, Field of the Dead. That's what won them this game. Yeah, they just get back Uro again. Like, Field of the Dead. If they didn't have that, we just get to push the Uro and kill them. Alright. Ashiok's in. Mana Leaks, Soul Guide. board out. Couple pushes. Battle rages. Field of the Dead. The worst part of this is that they probably pretend to be good at Magic, and this is the saddest part. It's like playing with a Ferrari against a city car. I mean, I wouldn't say it's really them pretending to be good at Magic. Like, they play a deck that they enjoy playing. I think that's a lot of the reasons that people play spike decks is they look fun and they look cool, and most of the times they are very unique. And the basic idea behind them is usually something pretty fun and cool. And I think what you'll notice when you look at spike decks is obviously you have a lot of cool ideas with them, such as this Colossification Bruna deck is unique. The Boyle Control deck was really cool. The Jeskai decks are really cool. The Bant Ephemerate deck, we saw that he topped two challenges in a row with it. But like even the Spike Brews that are really successful often have like Field of the Dead or Mystic Sanctuary in them, Uro. So like, yeah, they're really cool deck ideas and cool brews, but they do have a basis in something that's just like inherently busted. Yes, the idea is cool, but the deck works because of busted Uro plus Field of the Dead. Cut that engine. Probably the deck is a normal deck. I mean, I wouldn't say it's normal. It's still doing something different. But I would say it loses a lot of the ability to win those long games without Field of the Dead and Uro. Alright, so I'm going to bobble myself because if I see a land on top, I want to cling to dust into it. Since I don't see a land, we'll just play Gurmag and say go. I always think Valakut's a good card. You have to build around it. Building around it can be risky, like getting boiled while having Dryad, and has more balanced payoff. Then there's Field, which is totally unbalanced, not hard to build around, has a much bigger payoff most of the time. I mean, for the most part, I would agree with you. Like, I think that I should have done the same line there of bobble myself to see if it's a land on top. Somewhere in this deck, we have a second land. And before anybody says anything, yes, I realize that we bottomed the land when we kept the hand. I'm going to prioritize the draw over exiling the Bruna. Like, they could respond to this by Goryo's vengeancing Bruna. And I just get to say, like, cool, I'm going to pass the turn and Bruna's going to die. Unless I'm completely forgetting with this card. No, it's beginning of the next end step. So, yeah, they Goryo's vengeance Bruna. I say, cool. I'm just going to not attack into Bruna. So let's push this and say go. Like, I'm not particularly sure what that accomplished. What do you think about Scourge? Is it 2 of and Grixis Shadow? Well, I think that I've got a command for that. And before anybody asks, no, I'm not trying to be snarky with the command. It is just my opinion. And then after you read it, if you have further questions, I will be more than happy to discuss them. So if that makes sense, cool. If it does not, feel free to ask me any question you can possibly come up with. Yeah, so, like, it's not that I think Scourge of the Skyclaves is a bad card. I just feel like in decks like Grixis, Scourge is only live when you've already got a threat out on the board and your threat's already surviving. And we just do a much better job of playing, like, the Protect the Queen style game at that point. Interesting. So I could take push and make my opponent spend a turn lilying. So I'm gonna take Lily, pass with this Thought Scour, and plan on just scouring into turn, untapping, and playing Ashiok. Them getting basic island here kind of makes me believe they drew a land for turn that can get a green source. So if they get an untapped green source, I'll minus Ashiok targeting myself. If they get a tapped source, then I'll target them. Just play around Veil of Summer. Because the last thing I want is for my opponent to veil my Ashiok activation, untap, and get their Uro back. So Abrupt Decay with no land. That nab's a Fatal Push. And they drew another Lily. Alright, so they get to push this, untap. If they draw land, they can play Gargaroth. Do not draw the land. So let's get push. Play out Double Shadow. Say go. All right. Draw another removal spell. So what is their last card? So I need to go down to 2 here because I need to make this Shadow a lethal attacker next turn so that if they Gargaroth, they have to chump block with it. All right, then. That was something. Let's see. Scourge could maybe work in the sideboard against other Shadow decks. Not sure if it's really worth a spot or two. So I think Shadow decks, a lot of the times you have to treat kind of like Jund, in which you're never going to have like silver bullet answers for Jund just because like their entire deck is built around being able to answer anything and 2-for-1s. So if you're bringing in Scourge just for like mid-range matchups like that, you're probably not going to have the greatest time with it. Especially when it comes down to the fact that like the aggressive matchups that you kind of want to have a Scourge against are decks like Prowess, Mono Red, Taxes, that can often have a painless mana-based start. Uh, 3-2, yes. 3-2, that league. Guess we have to update our matchup guide. So we beat prowess. And we beat, what are we calling that? Sultai Gifts. We got our loss to Eldrazi Tron. And we got our loss to Red Black Midrange. So, we're good. Let's see. I've got to come over here because I've got a message from our artist. About a new emote. So maybe we'll preview that on stream. Let me see. Let's get through this match and then I'll check it out. All right. I think I'm going to bottom Fatal Push. It's kind of the card in the hand that has the most chance of being dead depending on the matchup. And because I've got this Inquisition and Thoughtseize, I think there's a decent chance that I'll be able to just like tear through a creature deck anyway. Testing any new cards. Not this this stream. This stream just like up-to-date Grixis Shadow. If I were to play an event this weekend, this is the Grixis list I would use. Kind of like that. Does the new emote give trample plus double strike with ferocious? I can neither confirm nor deny the... Are we going turn 1 Shadow? Will be boring. Bolt Scourge. Oh, man. So, I'm taking a Bolt here because of our opponent top decks like a Thoughtseize. And is able to take our Shadow and leave us with like Thoughtseize against Bolt. That would be pretty horrendous for us. So here we'll take Scourge. And how big do I want to play this Shadow? I guess playing Shadows of 5/5 is fine. Knowing I get to follow it up next turn with like Thoughtseize, make you use the Bolt, Gurmag Angler. We know that was their draw for turn. So I'm going to bobble them to see if it's safe to fire off this Thoughtseize. They're drawing an Inquisition, so it is. When did they draw a push? I thought I had perfect information on their hand. I thought their hand was Lightning Bolt, Swamp. Ah. Never mind. I see. I don't know why I thought they had another basic land in addition to the swamp. So I thought when they Bloodstained Mire plus Bloodstained Crypt, or Blood Crypt, those were their two draws. Shadow's a pretty good draw there. That triple Wraith, though, yeah, we could have had a turn 1 Shadow. The other day we got to turn 1 a Gurmag Angler. That was pretty sweet. I think it was like fetch land, triple Bauble, double Wraith. But it was super dope. But yeah, I don't want to preview the email because I can't remember if it shows up on this screen or the other monitor. So I want to wait until after the match so that I can go to an intermission screen and double check. Turn 1 Gurmag or Shadow still remains a dream for me. I mean, you've got plenty of time to cast Shadows in your Shadow career. I think I've cast turn 1 Shadow in modern, in legal modern, not no ban list modern. Probably like 5 or 6 times. But I think that was the first time I had a turn 1 Gurmag Angler that wasn't against Mill. Because I did have a Mill opponent that went like turn 1 land pass. I went fetch shock on my first main phase and went to combat, and they archive trapped me, and I got to play a second main phase Gurmag Angler on turn 1. But that was the first time I've had a legitimate turn 1 Gurmag Angler. Usually when I keep like a triple Street Wraith, no threat hand, it draws into more. I'm pretty okay if they take Thought Scour. Triple Street Wraith, no threat hand, usually draws me into more lands more often than not. So they take the Shadow, not really surprised there. So go for the throat, fatal push aren't bad. Alright, so good draws would be like Cling to Dust. I'm not going to Thoughtseize yet. I'm going to wait for them to add Luris into their hand and then Thoughtseize. pass here could mean Cake Command, which I think would be a pretty easy discard this Bloodstained Mire. Oh, wouldn't have guessed they were on Jund. And I assume they drew the Catacombs for turn, since they have missed a land drop. I'm just gonna hold on to this this Bloodstained Mire. I don't see a reason to throw it down when I know my opponent can be playing Colligan's Command. And like in this whole holding pattern, for the most part, I'm good not doing anything. Like they could be relying on like a Veil of Summer. Yep. Feels like it's a Veil of Summer. Veil of Summer plus like some removal spells. But I'm not a huge fan of these little chump attacks or chip attacks. Like all you're really doing is setting up my shadow to be bigger than everything on your side of the board. Don't really want a Stubborn Denial. Gurmag. Not a Gurmag. Did mill over double Gurmag. So like Cake Commands, Shadow, K-Command, Gurmag. All really good draws. Are you brave enough to go for the third counter? Because if I get to, like, respond to counter with removal spell, fetch up Veil, cast Veil, stub Veil, like, feel tremendous in that spot. Alright. That is a good draw. I don't have a ton to do with it right now, but I do have plenty of spells to flash back. If they have a Veil, I'm just going to try to get it out of hand now. Do I want to stub, snap, stub a Veil? You know what? Why not? We'll see what all they're protecting over here. In before we get Simeon Spirit Guided. But yeah, they can put Luris in the hand and cast Luris, but that's not doing anything. They do have the double lightning bolt. So I have to take one of those, unfortunately. All right. They're going to go bolt face. Oh, man. Opponent has no fear. Which removal spell would you like? I'm just kind of banking on them having not have drawn a Veil of Summer here. Like, if they got it, they got it. But I can't play around it. I guess I could by responding with double fetch land on the Death Shadow, but... Ooh. It's a pretty good one. Doesn't matter much. So I'm planning on nuking their yard regardless. It's like me exiling one creature over another is not really going to affect how this Soul Guide Lantern plays out. Shadow off the top. Almost. So I've seen 3 Shadows, 2 Gurmag Anglers. Oh, that's great, because now Gurmag Angler on our side's lethal. Opponent thinks this isn't a hard cast Street Wraith stream. I don't want to cycle Lantern with them still having the ability to put Luris into their hand. Because if they do that, like, I'm just 100% dead to the Luris. And I don't want to go down to 1 because of things like Monastery Swiftspear. So how many lands is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we do still have 5 lands left in our deck. That's a good one. Leave 2 lands untapped so they can't, like, Assassin's Trophy a land for whatever reason and keep me off Soul Guiding into a Stubborn Owl. Some weird sequence like that. There's just not really a need for me to have to tap down off of both my lands. If this game ends with them never having put Luris into their hand, I'm going to be astounded. What just happened? I wish I had a good explanation for how that match turned out the way it did. Or how that game especially. But I do not. All right, let me grab water real quick, and we'll do our unveil. Alright, let's see what this looks like. So let me go intermission for half a second. No. No, why are we intermissioning to... What on earth is that showing? Why is that showing like... tops of picture frames? Is that just like really zoomed in? Is it zoomed in like right there? Oh my god. Oh no, it's just the... For some reason the capture box got really expanded. So let's scale this down by like 4,000%. Refit it. Alright. That should be a little bit closer. Adjust it. Alright. That's back in our capture zone. I don't know why it was so zoomed in on one little corner up there. Like, that is beyond me. Alright, so I'm checking out the emote first. Then we'll pull up some concept art. Alright, who's ready? Who is ready? I gotta get a little more excitement out of y'all. 'Cause I'm excited. I think it looks really sweet. And it's definitely unique to our channel. So I'm not showing it till somebody says they want to see it. Before anybody goes off on the wrong track, yes, I'm talking about the emote. So we're going to sit here awkwardly until somebody says they want to see the emote. There we go. Pedro says show us the money. We will show you the money. Alright. First off, concept art. Pretty easy. Pretty boring. Unexistent. Coming in with 100 bits. Thank you so much. And hours. Boom. We have our very own Teamer Battle Rage emote. And I'm excited. So it's going to replace our little placeholder Death Shadow. It's going to replace this one. So now all of our subscribers will have access as soon as it gets approved. We got to send it in to get approved first. All of our subscribers will have access to our 3 OG emotes, our Thoughtseize, Gurmag Angler, and Death Shadow. And then we're going to be adding in Teamer Battle Rage to the mix. So, I'm pretty excited with how it turned out. When you see it to scale, it'll be closer to like that. So the resolution is to scale. So if it looks pixelated here, that's because it's not looking pixelated here. So there we go. We've gotten the Teamer Battle Rage luck. It will bless us for the rest of this league. And then as soon as the league's over, I'll go add that to the emote, or add it to get approved by Twitch as an emote. And then as soon as it gets approved, we will have it up and running for all of our subscribers. And then we'll have to figure out our next one. Oh, what do I think about this on the draw? I don't think it's good enough on the draw. We're like banking on draw step, bobble, scry, like all hitting gas. This is better. I'll go for the higher upside of keeping Battle Rage. Hardened scales. Oh, man. Double Ravager, double Worker, Walking Ballista. So if they hit a land, we're probably dead. Maybe we're not dead. Okay. We're doing things. So how big can they make this ballista next turn? They can play it for 1, put a second counter on it with Llanowar Reborn. Or put a second counter on it with Hardened Scales. Llanowar Reborn a counter on to 3. Add an extra for Hardened Scales is 4. I think we just have to take the ballista. Because the ballista kind of like shuts down my ability to go for a Battle Rage Shadow for lethal. Put a counter on it? Aw, dang. Opponent saw the line. The old line of not putting putting a counter on your opponent's creature with Llanowar Reborn. I'd love to know if anybody's come up in a situation where putting a counter on your opponent's creature with Llanowar Reborn was correct. I think they can just kill me with this Arcbound Worker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they can. Like, I can't. I know that I'm dead to this Arcbound Worker attacking me. But I can't win if they kill my Shadow. Because, like, even if I top deck a Shadow, they're killing me with an Ink Moth. So I have to just not block and hope they don't go for it. Or hope they don't see it. Something. But yeah, like, chumping with the Shadow is the same as saying I have no outs. So I kind of treat this matchup a lot like Dredge. where I need to have a shadow plus a battle rage to like realistically have a shot at winning. Gurmag Angler will win you some number of games, but it's much less consistent. Maybe against Ensnaring Bridge, you're talking about the Llanowar Reborn, your opponent's creature line. So that's possible. I like the direction you're thinking here. I got a bridge, or I got a Llanowar Reborn and a bridge. My opponent plays out a 1/1. I go, cool, that's a 2/2. Now it's never going to attack me. All right, what do we got? What did we play against last round? I've already forgotten. Rakdos Scourge, right? So, red, black, Scourge. Up to 57%. Basically a buy. All right. So I like this hand because it interacts well with everything that's not a creature, like Ozolith, Hardened Scales. Animation module. Hangerback, Ravager, another animation module. Probably just take Hangerback. Yeah. And I'm assuming my opponent's just going to let me Thought Scour here. Maybe I can find a third land. Oh, they're going to go for animation module? Really? Well, then, opponent, I will gladly take you up on your your opportunity you're giving me to snap Inquisition this Arcbound Ravager. I thought that would have been a pretty easy Ravager last turn. So we know second Phyrexia's Core, Forest Unknown. Yep. So best draw on our side is not that. It's going to say like another fetch land. So I really do not want to dismember my own Snapcaster just to get Shadow online. All right. All right, so let's say go. I'm planning on probably blocking to offer the trade. K command like 2 damage to the other one, or an ink moth, blow up animation module. All right. So let's do destroy an artifact, 2 damage here. And I assume they welding jar like the animation module. Like, this is fine. With the dismember, I don't really care how big the servo gets. Yep. Really don't like doing that right there. But like, my opponent hasn't done anything more impactful than cast a hardened scales with no follow-up. So I'm kind of... God. I was kind of hoping they didn't have anything. It looks like they had 2 things. Like, my opponent hadn't missed a land drop, so it made sense that they would have a land in hand. This is bold. Shadow off the top. We'll take that one. So I want to get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. 6, 7. Hopefully my opponent just draws like a hanger back or a ballista and just taps out for it. We'll also accept forest. So we're dead on their next turn if we don't find a removal spell. A removal spell that is not. Yeah, that dismember on our shadow was rough this game. Like, the Ozolith didn't matter. The dismember on the shadow. Yeah, so we're dead to attack from Ink Moth plus animation module activation. Maybe they play around Tail's End. Nope. Alright. Alright. That one was rough. Rough. Yeah. Go back a column, please. Been a while since I've seen hardened scales. I say that and I feel like we ran into it like 2 weeks ago. Maybe less time than that. Maybe like a week ago. But it's kind of like Tron. Like, I hear a bunch of Shadow players talk about like, oh yeah, Tron's an easy matchup. Hardened Scales is an easy matchup. And it just never plays out on paper like that for me. Or saying paper as I'm currently online. Never plays out in-game that way. There have been several people that have said Hardened Scales was an easy matchup. But I will put a caveat there that typically the people who say matchups like that are easy are part of the reason why I wanted to start this channel in the first place. And I'll kind of go over it a little bit as I play out here. But one of the reasons that I started the channel was because I always hated the argument of people saying, oh yeah, XYZ whatever matchup is extremely easy. And they'll give some sort of reasoning like, oh, well, you just Thoughtseize your opponent's removal, play a Shadow, and Battle Rage. And you just kill them. And that always kind of bugged me a little bit because it's like, all right, well, what about in the percent of games where that doesn't happen? What about those games where you don't see Battle Rage or you don't just immediately have a threat or your opponent draws another removal spell? Like, what's the game plan there? Alright, Gromag Angler is a good draw. But it's like, yeah, what about the matchups where that's not what happens? Like, how are you classifying those? And so I wanted to start this channel to kind of say, like, okay, well, now I can put numbers behind all of these claims. Like, oh, yeah, you just do X, Y, and Z, and they can't win. Well, cool, that's really awesome in theory. But what I'm seeing based on the data that I'm collecting, these actual physical numbers things, is that that's not how the matchups are going. Like, oh, we hear all the time, like, Eldrazi Tron's a really bad matchup for Shadow. And when you're talking about, like, Grixis, yeah, it's not the greatest. But if you're talking about, like, 4-color, oh, we're wrecking it. Like... Alright, so them drawing the untapped land there was a little unfortunate for us. Kind of need them to not do that again. Or at least not an untapped blue source. That's pretty close to an untapped blue source. Oh yeah, I can't even crack my Delta. God, I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah, the Hardened Scales matchup did get a lot worse with like the addition of things like the Ozolith. Pretty good when their blind draw of a Blood Sun is a Valakut Awakening that they can cast because of the Lotus Field. Do they not have a Cryptic command in hand? Do they get rid of their Cryptics? They did. Why on earth would you get rid of your Cryptic commands? You're a turn off of having double of those things. Oh, man. I will take things I didn't expect to happen for 500, Alex. Alright, not a whole lot for this matchup, so let's see how it goes. But yeah, I've got a notebook somewhere that's got like all my original matchup notes. Or not my notes, but like my match results data. And I started like posting on things like the Shadow Facebook group and saying like, all right, well, this is what I'm finding out. These are my experiences. These are the good, the bad. And the idea was I kept seeing people who, like I mentioned, were saying, oh, well, XYZ matchup's easy. You just Thoughtseize them and play a Shadow in Battle Rage and kill them. And as we can see from a lot of the data we have collected from matchups, that's often not the case. Even the matchups that should be a lot better for us, there's a percentage of the time where your plan's just like not going the way you want it to. That internal fail rate of Grixis due to like not seeing threats or your opponent top decking another removal spell is very, very relevant. Alright, so I think I gotta mull this because there's just too many unknowns in that hand. Probably shipping this as well. Like, I'm assuming I'm bottoming the second Angler. But then I'm not filling up my graveyard quickly. Like, I kind of need that Street Wraith to hit exactly hand disruption. But I'm just very much a numbers person. I don't want to hear like, oh yeah, it's good because in theory you just do this, this, and this. Like, all right, give me the numbers. What is the percent likelihood of that actually occurring? Boom. Something, something. Always rewarded. They do currently have no white mana. So I'm kind of hoping to find like a shadow or something right here. So I can play out shadow plus like mana leak. Yep. You've got a 1/1 shark. I will take one. Could drown and lock this shark token. I want to find a dude. I always tell people you got to be very particular with your words for Death Shadow. Like, I want to find a dude. Cool, here's a dude. Not quite the dude I wanted, but it's the dude we got. Alright. So I'm hoping my opponent will go for like a Snapcaster target Valakut Awakening. I get to cling that. And I'll just go ahead and kill this. So I've got Cling to Dust in the yard. Ouch. Cryptic Command. I think I'm just going to something relevant. I mean, I guess. This is a pretty weird game here. All right, that's probably going to be close to game. Triple Lotus Field. All right. All right. So I saw Monastery Mentor. Doesn't mean that I want to go like all in on the removal plan. I want to at least consider having an extra piece in. Why couldn't one of these stubborn Anals have been a Thought Scour? Let's think. Fetch land, Scour, Mana Leak. Hit a land. I would still need an if I hit a fetch land, I can play a turn 3 Gurmag, assuming they give something to stub and mana leak on the first couple of turns. And honestly, I think that's asking a lot. Alright, so the same hand with a Shadow instead of a Gurmag. Opponent mold to 6 as well. Don't think I want a Snapcaster right now. That's a pretty good draw. All right. Nope. Can't let you do that one. I feel like I just have to expose this Shadow to a lightning bolt. My draws have not been good. Like, there's a chance they don't have white mana and they just have to Lotus Field here, pass the turn. And I get to untap, shock in Watery Grave, and then have access to this Stubborn Denial. No bolt, no bolt, no bolt. Sweet. The classic only lands draw from Grixis. It happens. It for sure happens. It's one of those like, well, we're a Snapcaster away from doing stuff kind of hands. Have Snapcaster in response to this. God. That was rough. That's a whole mess of lands. Is that 12 of 17? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is 13 of 17. (13 of 17 in the top 21. Say top 21. We fetched for some of these. All right. Yeah, I mean, you could make an argument that I should have just shocked there and gone to attacks instead of cycling the Street Wraith. It's like if they'd make the first move, I get to cycle Street Wraith to look a little bit more. But like that's not a very intuitive play to snap path in response to the Street Wraith cycle. So kudos to them for recognizing it. Well, like, we wanted to get the extra damage in, and if I shock, that means that my bolt is getting, or my Street Wraith is getting us closer to, like, a shark for 1 plus bolt for lethal. When I want to see the card more than I want the extra damage. Alright. Turn Timber could mean Amulet Titan. It could mean Oops all spells. Deck. Deck, please. You got to give us a chance in some of these games. So that's Oops all spells. And they got the Simian Spirit Guide to pay. Alright. So I need to have, like, draw, Thoughtseize, them not be able to kill us. Alright. Opponents got the kill, they got the kill. Yep. Alright. So, Soul Guides, K Commands, Mana Leaks, get rid of Pushes, Dismembers. Drown in the Lock's not the greatest. The other consideration is Ashiok. Like, if you're able to just Ashiok and start taking your opponent off of cards in their library, there's a chance you can mill over things that they need to win. Maybe we could do something like Ashiok over 4th Gurmag. Maybe over Snapcaster. Ashiok over a land probably isn't the worst. But Nope. Ugh. Alright. Get rid of you and what? Stub, probably? Yeah. I'm not really afraid of getting turn 1'd, so I want to give the ability to bobble myself to scry with this Bloodstained Mire. Stubborn Anala said, I don't want you. Go away. All right. We're a fetch away from doing stuff. Do I want Thoughtseize? Probably. It's kind of my expectation here is they might have like 2 win conditions, like Charbelcher plus Balustrade Spy. Yeah, so like all this means that Mana Leak is basically dead. So we'll just take the Balustrade Spy. It's hard cast a Miria's Call. Alright. And they even have the 1 red left over to Simian Spirit Guide. Hard cast Avenge Vine. Okay. Like they are at 12 life, so they have to be kind of careful with attacks here. Creeping Chill. Can I bait them into a bad attack here? No, because if they... Yeah, I have to Mana Leak this. Because if I let this resolve, it's not me going down to 7 that I care about. It's them going up to 15. When they're at 12, a shadow can kill them. But if they go up to 15... then a shadow attacking can't without a battle rage. Splatter, you're out. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with us. And I had to Stubborn Denial there instead of Mana Leak. Or I had to Mana Leak instead of Stubborn Denial because they have a Simian Spirit Guide that I know about. And now I'm guessing they're trying to figure out what my draws to get me out of this can be. Double Spirit Guide. So they could Spirit Guide to cast a Spirit Guide, which is pretty funny. Sadly enough, it's probably technically correct here. We didn't really have the make 8 mana Amiria's Call plan on our radar. Probably should have considered that a little more. Yep. Spirit Guide to Spirit Guide. So you're out of cards in hand. All right, what do we got access to? Clinging Stub. It's like we're not dead to the 2 angels attacking. I can get basic swamp off of this, which means I can attack with a shadow here. Because if they attack back, I guess I couldn't have because I'm going down to 5. And I do have to decide if I think that... Alright. Do I think going for it here, if they don't block, is a line I have to take? Like, if they didn't block, I could say Fetch Shock to 3, Snap Thought Scour myself or them, and if I hit exactly a Street Wraith, I would have a lethal shadow. But instead, I'm going to bank on this draw for them being dead. They attack for 8. I cling to dust, exile whatever creature, go up to 9. They hit me down to 1. I've got 2 lethal shadows on the crackback. So I go down to 1. Got stub for any non-creature spell. All right. On to game 3. Oh, how much more respect do I need to give to Amiria's Call? Like, I really don't want to leave removal in the deck. But is something like Dismember better than K Command? So they saw Maze Mind, or not Maze Mind Time. Yeah, Maze Mind Time Soul Guide Lantern. So, you know, those things sound totally just alike. So if they have ley lines, they might consider boarding them out. I guess I didn't show them a ton. But maybe something like... Is Dismember like better on the play? God. Or on the draw? For like the potential explosiveness. Mastermind? Not at all. Not at all. Oh, this hand's so close, right? On the draw, we've got Inquisition and Thoughtseize. We've got Cling to Dust if they go for it. But we need both lands and a threat. So opponent mold to at least 5. Kept at 5. No ley line. Alright, so I'm going to bank on my opponent not being able to kill me turn 2. So I'm going to Inquisition instead of Thought Seizing first, because if they have both Informer and Balustrade Spy, I would like to potentially nab both of them. But if I Thought Seize, and they have Undercity Informer and Balustrade Spy, and the ability to kill me on turn 2, or the ability to play out a Spy, or an Informer on turn 2, then I have to take the Informer, which means that Inquisition can no longer hit the Spy, and I'm just dead to that. Played Turn Timber. I don't love or ever love Thought Seizing my opponent. But there's a decent chance I'm going to have to, just to make sure that this Drowning Lock is online. So their hand is currently Sword of the Meek, Vengevine. They were drawing into Undercity Informer. Am I countering a Vengevine? I feel like I probably have to, right? Play out Snapcaster just so I have something to attack with. Alright, well now I don't have to counter the Vengevine. Yep. Sure. Dismember the snap. Why would I play the... Or why would I dismember the snap? Oh boy. What are the odds I die to a Narcomoeba strapped up with a Sword of the Meek? Dude. Oh, thank you, deck. That's all it took. A little tough love. Try drawing better cards. I did. I drew the better card. So opponent is dead. Assuming they don't have anything here to stop us from killing them. Huh? Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Those were also okay cards, I guess. Grixis killing a combo deck. I mean, we've done that at least one other time today. This is behind. I know I've beaten all spells a couple times since this was last updated. Is this 2017? Unfortunately, there are not enough Serum Visions and too many Field of the Deads for this to be 2017. Luck, agreed. 100% agreed. I didn't set up that Gurmag Angler draw. The deck just knew I needed Gurmag Angler or Shadow. It was a kind of weird opponent for my... Or I guess my opponent might have had a Creeping Chill in hand. That would make that attack make sense. On the draw. Because if they had a Creeping Chill, then attacking me down to 4... Or attacking me down to 6, and next turn attacking me down... No, attacking me down to 4, next turn attack me down to 2 plus Creeping Chill for lethal. If I don't have exactly the Battle Rage right there. Makes sense. Fatal Push. Easy, Stubborn Denial off the top. you say turn 2 chicken? Did opponent keep a 1-lander? Or no, they have land light up the stage. There it is. There's our good buddy. Yep. That second Swift Spear did a number on us. So we need to have Thought Scour plus draw into like Shadow plus Battle Rage. Nope. Nope. Yeah, that second Swift Spear being able to dodge Fatal Push. Because if they just attack with Swift Spear there and don't do anything, I'm probably Fatal Pushing the Swift Spear. But it looked like they had a second Stormwing entity anyway, so they could have just like gut shotted plus Stormwing. So on the play, being able to answer, as it was so elegantly put, the chicken is pretty important. So like Mana Leak gets a little bit better on the play. Nah, if this were a fetch land, I'd keep it. What's with all these shock land hands? Am I going bald? My hairline's higher than it used to be. I think it's that like awkward little curl right there that makes it look a lot higher. Could be going bald. Nope. No Black Source. So we probably lose here. Let's see. Antis redeemed swag reveal. Alright, we'll get to it right after this match. I probably would look better bald. Just like that. Is that basically it? There. Cover up any little bit of a hairline. How does it look? Am I doing it? Am I bald now? It's all over the place. Alright, we'll stub will light up the stage. It's always the chance that our opponent doesn't have a second land drop. They don't, but neither do we. So between the two of us, somebody's going to do something good Magic playing related. All right, I got to get my my swag reveal ready. Got it. Swag / story reveal. I keep meaning to update that on the actual channel point redemption. Deck, please. No. And this is how we die. Nope. Yeah, rough. So let's update that one on the matchup guide. Blue-red prowess. Boo. Boo. I also needed to add Jeskai Lotus Field. Alright, back on Grixis. So I just wanted to give it a shot today. Do I need to add non-games? That would probably be a good idea. But it would have to be like non-matches. Like matches where our keep wasn't terrible. Just never saw like second land. Or just not punt matches. Variance matches. Something like that. So, swag reveal. I was thinking about what I was going to do. And then it hit me because I literally saw the card like 2 cards down. So, back, I guess it was, what all was in that standard? Khans of Tarkir, Dragons of Tarkir. Magic Origins had come out. So, like, Jace Vryn's Prodigy was in Standard. Was when I was playing a lot of Jeskai in Modern. And I enjoyed it, but it never really felt like where I wanted to be long term. And a little deck came out called Jeskai Black that was running like Jace Vryn's Prodigy, Kolaghan's Command, Fiery Impulse. What else was in that deck? Soulfire Grandmaster, Manus Rider, Ojutai's Command. What am I forgetting? God, I was running Dragon Master Outcast. And I started playing that deck. Really enjoyed it. Had some decent success with it. And it started evolving. The deck started getting a little bit bigger than the other. Crackling Doom was in there too, right? Started getting a little bit bigger to beat the mirror. And people started leaning a little bit heavily on black with cards like Tasigur in the deck. And I found a spice card that I played in my sideboard that won me probably more mirror matches or matches out of the sideboard of that standard than any other deck I could find, or any other card I could find. And it made me fall in love with blue and black. And it's actually what made me start looking at like Grixis Control in Modern, because I thought the card was really sweet. Even though it was never good in Modern, I don't think ever saw like any real play. But the card was Dragon Lord Silumgar. So, for those of you who do not know, Dragon Lord Silumgar is a 4 blue and a black. It's a 3/5 with flying and death touch. When it enters the battlefield, you gain control of target creature or planeswalker for as long as you control Dragon Lord Silumgar. So, when you're able to land a Silumgar, steal your opponent's like Jace Friend's Prodigy after it's flipped, steal their Tasigur, steal their Silumgar that's taking something of yours and you get your something back, whatever. Like, Silumgar comes down and is just an absolute house. And in a format where you get like okay counter spells, you got negate, you got disdainful stroke, so you could like protect it once it came down. But just like a slow hitting flying body that takes your opponent's best value card is absolutely nuts. So you'd be able to like get an empty board because you're sitting there like looping crackling dooms with your Soulfire Grandmaster, and then apparently your opponent played, or then eventually, your opponent played something and you're like, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. Pass the turn, cool. Drop my Dragon Lord Silumgar. Take your whatever. Take your Siege Rhino. Take your Tasigur. Take your Eldrazi. Whatever. It's mine now. I'm going to beat you in the face with it. Good luck. Siege Rhino was pretty great, but I loved the Manus Rider side of the spectrum. Manus Rider, Ojutai's Command, Disdainful Stroke, 4 Siege Rhinos, and Wingmate Rocks. Like, that was one of my favorite standards of all time. Otek, how about I play the Sultai list tomorrow? If you can send me a link down below, like in the suggestion box, I can plan on getting it together for tomorrow's stream. So I wouldn't mind playing Sultai. But in the meantime, I think we're going to raid Doomwake. So if you haven't checked it out yet, Doomwake plays a ton of Modern. Played Red-Black Prowess in this past weekend's Mana Traders event. It looks like it's currently playing some Blue-White Spirits. But if you hang around, feel free to send some love from the channel. I got to run, so I'm going to be heading out now. But I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out, checking out the channel if you haven't been here before. Appreciate the new followers, the new subscribers. And we'll be looking forward to playing Otek's Sultai list tomorrow. So I will see y'all then. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your evening. Have some good food, some good company. Stay safe. And I will see y'all back tomorrow.